Okay, it says 6:01. I want to thank everybody for showing. This is the second Zoom meeting we've had this week. Ron Hank's talking if you aren't looking at the screen or can't find the speaker. If everybody could remember to mute, that would be helpful, and we'll use the hand feature, raising hands and so forth, and try to maintain control over the audience here. Appreciate you being here. As I guess the MC, will dispense with prayer and leave it to the end if we have time. And if that offends anybody, I regret that. But we're here to talk about the upcoming decertification. Let me back that up. Whether or not we ought to certify the elections will come up in this conversation, but what we're looking at right now are affidavits to fill out and to start a legal process against Secretary of State Jena Griswold for her gross incompetence and her failure to secure passwords that make these election systems completely insecure. I contend and have for years that they are not secure in any national security sense of the word and can never be made secure. However, as we play this fool's errand of we're using electronic voting systems in which we don't have the software or the ability to look inside. They told us initially that they did not have wireless capabilities, and they have massive wireless capabilities in them. And what happens? Jena Griswold's crack team leaves passwords for about 660 pieces of equipment on the Secretary of State website for 63 out of the 64 counties, excluding only Los Animas County. And they were up there for at least 4 months. We have some evidence that they were up there for 6, and we don't know where that file was prior to being put on the Secretary of State's website. So as a guy that worked in with classified material and with classified equipment, if you had this kind of a breach, that equipment is trash. It is pulled off of the SIPRnet or the JWIC system or any other sensitive and networks that need to be secure. This equipment has been declared critical infrastructure. So this is an egregious violation, and these are absolutely compromised passwords. The fact that somebody downloaded them to even raise the issue, that right there indicates at least one person has it. We don't know what happened with them after that. They're compromised in the definition used by Department of Defense. So this is, in our estimation, much more serious than the insider threat that Jena Griswold called Tina Peters. And I won't go into that at great length, and I'm going to hand over the mic here in just a moment. But, Griswold, if you read my email today, she had a press release on the 3rd of October crowing about the sentence that Tina Peters received for being, as Griswold called her, an insider threat. And, the passwords that were on there, the case is complicated with Peters, but they were partial passwords that somebody else had sent to her. What happened here were complete passwords that were exposed on the internet for 4 months. And when Griswold was crowing about the stiff sentence that Tina Peters got, she's in gross violation for 104 days of leaving these passwords on the internet, at least, could even be longer. So, and again, it's for 63 of 64 counties. So we are developing a process here through the work of the good people on this call that are going to talk here in a moment. But this is our opportunity to to hang this squarely on around Jena Griswold's neck. And we should be doing that, because we've had enough of the trash talk and the arrogance coupled with incompetence. The two are pretty hard to endure when they're coupled together at the magnitude that Griswold displays them. So tonight we have people talking about the affidavit process and looking at some of the evidence. And we had a call that went for over 2.5 hours on Monday. And right up at the top of the chat, you can see how to get to it. Anna Ferguson has put in links to the material, the recordings, and then also to the affidavit. If you can't see the chat, you can simply go to www.cologop.org and then look through, and you'll find your you'll find some interesting stuff. You'll find Kyle Clark's interview with Jena Griswold, where you can start to see Jena visibly cringing and starting to really have a hard time answering the questions without breaking into a sweat. It's a really interesting revelation. Mark Cook did a review of Kyle Clark's interview and broke it down. That's on there. The Zoom call is on there, excerpts of the Zoom, the affidavits are on there, other evidence. So I encourage you to go to cologop.org. So first up, I'm going to go to Dave Wilson, retired Judge Advocate General for one of the services. Dave, forgive me for not knowing, but you're up, and then hand it off, please.
Cool. Thank you. Thank you, Ron. Yes, it was Army. Go Army. Huh. Anyway, my background doesn't matter. Like most of us, 4+ years ago, when I started to see things going bad and I started to get pissed off about what was going on, I raised my hand and said, I need to do something. And the same thing happened here. I watched the interview, I started looking at things, and then some laws popped up, and I decided we need an investigation. I'm in El Paso County. I wanted an investigation. So the affidavits are for a criminal investigation. A criminal investigation will net what we need to either move forward criminally, whether we can get anybody to do that or not, but it'll give us the information we need, or civilly. And I know the Libertarians filed a civil suit. I represented Tina in her recount lawsuit, and we were thrown out of district court, thrown out of appellate court. Similarly with the Libertarians suit that happened last week. Thrown out, because judges don't want to hear it. They don't have any guts to listen to this stuff or whatever. The criminal statute we're looking at, it's kind of fortuitous, because Jena Griswold pushed this through our legislature, and it's CRS 1-13-708, section 2, and it states any person who knowingly. So what we're looking for in the investigation is the knowingly piece, as well as a lot of other details. Knowingly publishes or causes to be published passwords or other confidential information relating to a voting system. It's a class 5 felony. So all we heard was, oh, it was some employee, that employee no longer works here. Another employee didn't know what was going on, and she's investigating herself. That pissed me off. So as I was researching and looking through and people were posting stuff, I came across another law, CRS, and I am an attorney. I'm licensed in New York, Connecticut. I actually took the bar with John Kennedy in New York back in the day. But CRS 1-13-101, District Attorney or Attorney General prosecute, which states any person may file an affidavit with the district attorney stating the name of any person who has violated any of the provisions of this code and stating the facts which constitute an alleged offense. So we're looking for people to file affidavits with their DAs saying, and let me see, upon filing such affidavit, the district attorney shall forthwith. And I had somebody challenge me on Monday about shall. It doesn't mean must. Shall in the law does mean must. And there's a Supreme Court case out there that kind of goes back and forth into different definitions. But in this case, shall means must. So if you file this affidavit with your district attorney, they have to investigate. They may say, oh, I'm not going to, I've heard, oh, well, I don't have jurisdiction. That's a lie. Every district attorney in Colorado has jurisdiction for all of Colorado. They respect each other, but they all have jurisdiction. So don't take that from your district attorney. So far, for the affidavits that have been filed, we're hearing, oh, well, Denver's investigating. We'll see what they're going to do. I'm okay with that as long as there's updates and follow up and we get an investigation. Not, oh, there's nothing to see. Don't look at the man behind the curtain. Move along. I'm not accepting that. Hopefully, none of you will. The more affidavits we get out there and the more we keep this in the media and in the public, the better chances we have of moving this along, finding out what happened, and then figuring out what to do from there. So I know there's going to be a lot of questions. Linda was going to go through some of the samples for the affidavits. I put a sample affidavit together. The one thing I want to emphasize is when you do an affidavit, you're swearing that this is the evidence I believe to be true and the person that I believe potentially committed a crime. So don't file an affidavit with a bunch of information in there you're not familiar with, you haven't looked at. This is as if you're ready to go into court and say, hey, I saw X, so-and-so do X, Y, and Z. From my perspective, all you have to do is watch News 9's interview of Griswold. And she admits, yes, we had a breach. Yes, we put these passwords out on the internet. Oh, no, but we have cameras. We have locked doors. Who cares? If you know anything about BIOS passwords, once you have the BIOS password, and I did in the Army, I did a lot of criminal law, and then I got into cyber, and I worked at NSA. You have the BIOS passwords, you have the key to that system. And only foolish hackers will get into a system and not put a back door. Anybody who knows what they're doing will put a back door so when they get locked out, they can get in the way they want to. That's just common sense. So for somebody to say, oh, no, we changed the passwords, everything's good. Don't look behind the curtain. They're lying to you, or they're dumb and they don't know what they're talking about. So we need a valid investigation. What we're being told now is, at first, the Secretary of State said, oh, we're investigating this. And now it was a Democratic committee law firm who was investigating. Now they claim they have an independent law firm. I don't believe that for a second. And why is a law firm investigating this? Bottom line is, to prove knowingly, you better figure out who those two employees are and start interviewing them. They will roll over as soon as they think they're in hot water, unless they believe their life is threatened. I don't know. But those two people need to be interviewed, not some law firm. And the law firm, according to the article I read, was an employment law firm, and they did some other things. That doesn't mean they know how to investigate or interrogate somebody or anything like that. This breach, I would equate it to what Hillary did with the 30,000 emails and the server in her basement or in a closet somewhere. And then I forgot the name of the firm who used bleach bit to wipe the whole server. So we need to stay on top of this and keep it moving. Again, I know there's going to be a lot of questions. You need to fill out the affidavits properly, read it, make sure you know what you're doing, notarize it. You can either send it certified mail so you get a receipt and you know it was delivered, or hand deliver it and take a copy with you and have them sign it saying, I received this on such and such day. You want to have evidence that it was delivered. And then you want to tell them, hey, I need an update. You represent me. You're my district attorney. I need an update on what's going on because this impacts the entire county and obviously the whole state. And if you had listened on Monday, it goes well beyond Colorado. I think it's 25 or 29 states are also impacted. So this is huge. And we're just looking for answers. We don't want the cover-ups. We want answers, and we deserve those answers. So I will turn it over there and watch for questions in the chat or online here.
All right, Debbie or Anna, whoever's in charge, could I by chance share my?
We lost your audio.
Linda, you're muted. Do it
Sorry
again.
about
There you
that.
go.
Okay,
There
I'm
you
so sorry. I assume everybody on here got the sample from Anna. I'm hoping that maybe you read through it, but if I could share my screen, I'll walk through and just sort of show you where you need to edit. What Dave said is right. All of us need to have watched the Kyle Clark interview with Griswold. Anna has put the link into that. Thank you, Anna. And then, we can talk about it. There's one paragraph in there that refers to some information that Clay Parikh shared with us during the phone call a couple days ago. If you don't want to put that in there, you can just delete it. Otherwise, you need to watch that interview and at least be familiar with what he said. It's a little bit more technical. Dave and I went back and forth on whether we should put that in there. I personally think it should be in there because it really does break this into a much wider investigation. Because if the spreadsheet has exposed secret information, secure information for other states, then that kind of makes it a federal issue and hopefully won't be just stuck here with our corrupt system. The other thing I will say is when we're done with all of this, I just stuck a couple X or Twitter links in here. If you guys have heard of Sheriff Darleaf out of Michigan, he's been investigating the election stuff since 2020. I got a call from Stephanie Lambert this afternoon. So Darleaf and Stephanie and Texas AG Ken Paxton have an open investigation into Dominion. So what she has requested from me is really she wanted me to find clerks or commissioners, county officials who would do exactly what we're doing, but requesting it of Ken Paxton. This happened. I have no way to verify whether what she's telling me is true now. Will you please investigate it? I believe it's a crime. That's really the same thing we're doing here. So I told her what we were doing on the call tonight, and she said it would be great if I would forward those on to her. So, my email, and maybe we can do this in conjunction with Anna, or I'm not sure, I don't care how we do it, but she basically asked me to have you guys forward them to me, and then I'll forward it on to her so that she doesn't get blasted all at once. That would be an amazing thing. It'd obviously be more powerful if we have county officials, and I've talked to a couple already. But that will bring us into a more of a federal investigation because once Matt Gaetz gets put in as DOJ, they can work in conjunction with Trump's DOJ for that. So that's really exciting. We could have a part in that, people, not just with these DAs, right? Because we don't know what we're going to get from them. We're assuming they're going to not do much, but it's going to keep up the pressure. And what we've noticed from Griswold in the last few years, when you put pressure on her, she makes mistakes. So let's trip her up a little bit here. All right. Can I share screen? Do I have the permissions to do that?
I don't have that control. Hopefully Anna's done it. Anna,
I did make you a co-host.
Yay. Okay.
Oh, you did?
Let's see.
Oh.
I see it. Trying to share. Okay, I'll share my whole screen. Okay, sorry. Then you'll
Linda,
Yes.
while you're going through, if you can just every once in a while look over at the chat. As far as delivering affidavits, yes, people can give it to the staff as long as somebody in the DA's office acknowledges that it was received. We're good to go.
Right. Okay, so maybe I'll go over, you should have received this too. This is the instructions that, well, my instructions, and then I attached it to Dave's memorandum that he put out a couple of days ago. The basic steps of this are, number one, go find your DA. There's a list in that document. I noticed that, Anna, you found a actual list of the DAs. The weird thing about this list is that to find their information, their code is screwed up in their little window, and it has all of the HTML along with it, but you can find their name and address in there, whatever. Basically find your DA. You can do that. It's not too hard online. And if you really get stumped, we'll help you. Obviously we want you to read through the affidavit. You got to know what is happening, and we'll go through that next, because there's places where you're going to need to edit in your name, your county, and we'll just sort of walk through it real quick. And then just do a quick cover letter. It can be as simple as this. Hey, dear DND, DA so-and-so, enclosed, please find. You're asking him to keep you informed. And then if you choose to send this by email, which is sufficient, you need to ask them for a confirmation of receipt. So the three ways to deliver this are going to be by certified mail or return receipt requested. That would mean going down to your mailbox, your post office, and it costs a couple bucks to get a return receipt, so they'll have to sign it. Secondly, you could walk into your DA's office with it. Either have something for them to sign, I am in receipt of an affidavit by, or print off a second cover copy of it, have them sign that, received by the DA's office on such and such a date. Or if you choose to do it all digitally, you're going to print it out, go to your notary public, sign it in front. Don't sign it before, sign it in front of your notary public. You'll bring it home. You'll scan it either in a printer scanner, or there's a fabulous free app for your phone that Adobe makes for scanners. It is so useful. I use it all the time. So you just really just stick your paper down on the ground on the table, hold your phone over it, and it takes a picture of it. It finds the corners, and even if it's crooked, it like readjusts it to a perfect size. It's a fabulous app, and it saves it as a PDF. So there you go. There's your three ways in which you can do that. That way you have a digital PDF of your signed and notarized one that you could then email, attach to an email, and just ask for a confirmation receipt. If you don't get it, then you're going to have to follow up and say, hey, did you receive it or not? Okay, there you go. Now we've delivered it. Let's see what else. So you got to find your notary, sorry. And then you're going to mail it or deliver it or email it. And then I just said, tell everyone you know. So Dave has sort of walked through his thinking here when he wrote this, this affidavit. Dave was the author of this. Here's the links to the Kyle Clark video. This is Mark Cook discussing it. A Gateway Pundit did an article on this also. This is the statute that we're using. Not to knowingly or publish or cause to be published. What else is in here that we need, Dave? Oh, so he talks about if you get pushback. We've kind of added a paragraph into that from the original version that addresses the pushback a little bit. But that's kind of the instructions. On
Yeah,
a real
Linda,
quick,
I noted that, and I won't name names, but at least one district attorney said, oh, I don't have jurisdiction. That's a load of crap. So don't take that. Just deliver your affidavit, say, I don't care what you think you can or can't do. Here's my affidavit, read the law and follow it. You know, if it comes to that, we know what they're going to do. They're going to say, don't look at the man behind the curtain. So.
okay. And then, Dave, go ahead and interrupt me anytime if you see something in the chat that needs to be addressed right then. Okay. I have no problem. I'm very rude. You can interrupt me. I interrupt people all the time. My first looking over there is counties and DAs. The DAs are actually by district, and currently there are 22 judicial districts in Colorado. I believe Anna attached the map into their website that shows you which county is in which judicial district. There is a 23rd judicial district somewhere out by Elbert County that George Brockler just won, but that doesn't start till January. I don't know if that's helpful or not. So in the document, we say judicial district and county. So go ahead.
Yeah, and Linda, one of the somebody asked about, is there a place where somebody's going to keep track of all the affidavits and what counties?
Yes, that's,
I-
that's,
Yeah, I just want to say, we're not looking for at least one person in each county. This has got to be massive because there's going to be a lot of DAs who are going to say, well, you know, Denver's investigating. We don't have to do anything. We need to keep this public and push it really hard because they will try and find a way out because they don't, you know, they're afraid. They don't want to do politics, or
that's right.
they're deep state or part of the uniparty, whatever it is. We got to push, otherwise nothing will happen, as you all know, over the last 4 years.
That's right. Okay, so I just entered my email address in there. Anna, you can speak up if you want to be included on that, on keeping track of those. Doesn't matter to me, but I would like to know who has done it. Yes, to keep track of it, but also because I would like, with your permission, to forward it down to Ken Paxton to try and keep Colorado relevant in that more of a federal case. So investigation into Dominion. All right, so I'm gonna go through the affidavit here. So the first thing you're gonna do is put in the name right here, District Attorney Joe Blow, right? And you're gonna do that, follow the, well, you're gonna do it better than I did. You're gonna follow with the case caption, all right? Then you want to put in which judicial district are you? So are you the 19th? I don't know, whatever. Then you're going to put in their address here. You're going to change, this is the affidavit of, I should do it case sensitive too. You're going to put in your name again here. And you want to make sure that the bold and the underline goes away. Sorry for my mousing ability. Now, I don't know how familiar you people are with word processing, if that's going to be an issue or not. Come on, get off of there. So you want to make sure that, you know, you don't want to bold your name or underline your name there. So just get rid of that. Now you're going to same thing. You're going to put your attorney, the district attorney name in here. Of the judicial district, 19th. And now here we are to county. Okay, so I'm Weld County. And I think there's 3, let's find it, 3 or 4 places where the county goes in there. Is there one more? I think that's it. Okay, so those are just the quick edits, but you do need to read through it, okay? It's brought to my attention. I'm addressing the email that the GOP sent out with the confidential affidavit. So that's where we start. That's the first place I found out. How about you? It was brought to my attention by confidential affidavit disclosed by the Colorado Republican Committee on the 29th that there was this Excel spreadsheet out there that had secret passwords, right? Then it was confirmed by the Secretary of State herself on the Kyle Clark interview.
And Linda, let me jump in real quick.
Go right ahead.
So like somebody said on a chat today, this isn't a letter writing campaign where you just push out the information that somebody else has given you. You need to understand because if the DA says, okay, I'm willing to do this, what is it you want me to investigate? What is it you believe the evidence is? So when you fill out the affidavit, you need to make sure you know what you believe is the evidence. That's why in my sample, I put in the News 9 interview with Kyle Clark and Jena Griswold, where she admits, yes, we had all these passwords out there, and he pushes her, and she admits, yes, it was since June. That's a huge mistake. I mean, in the Army, they asked me for the write-up on my award, and it had secret in tiny little letters, and I faxed it over. And they went crazy. Oh my God, you faxed a secret document. And I'm like, oh, my life's flashing before my eyes. And then they said, oh, it shouldn't have been classified secret. I'm like, oh my God, I almost, died here. So this is huge. And so you need to be very careful because you're personally saying, hey, I believe this law was violated, the 708 law. The other thing is, in the lawsuit by the libertarians, The Secretary of State, the deputy Beal, said it was only 34, I think 34 counties that were impacted. Who cares? They put the passwords out for 63 of the 64 counties. I don't care that the rest of them, the passwords were inactive or no longer valid. They put the passwords out. The law does not distinguish between good passwords and bad passwords. It just says password. So the affidavit applies to all 63 counties within Colorado. I don't know what the 64th county is. I think it's so small they don't even use machines. That's what I thought I heard in the trial. So
I think it's Los Animas.
Yeah, I think you're right. The other thing I'll say on that is we just had federal and state elections. So if we had any computers or election equipment in any county that was violated, it does affect our overall state election. So I feel like I have a personal right, to complain about a state action like that. But you're right, the law does not specify active or inactive passwords. So, okay, so here's the one paragraph I want you guys to really think about whether you're going to leave it in there or not, all right? That's number 7, because this is going to address what Clay Parikh talked about in the call a couple days ago. And it's a little bit more detailed. I don't particularly feel, and Dave, you can correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm often wrong. But if I don't believe you have to completely understand what it was that he said or the technicality of it. But what he told you or told us is that this actually is going to affect other states. And I don't want them to just say, oh, they changed all the passwords, we're good. I want them to start looking into these other deeper issues also that Clay revealed to us. So that's why it's in there. Feel free to just delete it if you want. This document is set up as an outline, numbered. So if you delete that, it'll fix your numbering and everything for you. But basically, I have learned from the cybersecurity specialist with the DoD during a Zoom conference on the 12th that there are other critical pieces of information included in the above mentioned spreadsheet that violate the security of the Secretary of State's website and election equipment in other states, which heightens the level of this to possible federal offenses. And then this is a footnote which links down to the video. Now, the video that this links to, I edited out most of it. I shouldn't say most. It's about 37 minutes long. So it's really just the technical speak. It's Clay's his main 20-minute presentation. And then there's some of Mark Cook and Sean Smith giving some details a little bit about that conversation. But all of the back and forth that we did about filing these affidavits, I removed that. So it's still up on the website, right? But it's not what we're going to point to in this affidavit.
Linda, I need to make a correction, hon. The date of the call was November 11th. It was not the 12th. Yeah, it was on Monday. It was on Veterans Day.
That means I wrote this after midnight. Sorry.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I think
In fact,
my
I know
clock
you're
must have
right.
turned over. I do a lot of things after midnight, trust me. All right, make sure you change the date on that. It was November 11th. Sorry about that. There's another thing you got to edit. Not that it would violate your whole, invalidate the whole thing. But okay, so what we have in here now are all the laws that David just talked about, right? So you don't have to highlight this. I did, but oh, whoops. Any person who knowingly caused, now you realize she added this in 2022 in SB 22-153. This was her get back at Tina clause. So it's just beautiful that she's violated it herself. Like Ron said, the irony is just dripping out of this case. And then 18-8401, a public service who refrains from performing a duty. 113-107, a violation of duty because they violate or neglect to perform their duty. They had a duty to keep these passwords secure, period. That was their duty and they failed gloriously. Then she makes this rule to go out there and change the passwords real quick. Is that what we have here? Sorry, this is another one. You had I did it again. I overstepped you, Dave. Got everyone see this? Look at this. I just overstepped Dave. You had it in there and I put it in there second. I apologize, David. This needs to be removed.
That's why people need to read. You need to know what it says. If you're asked, you need to be able to intelligently talk about it.
That's right. So see, I had doubled it up. He had it down here under 9 and I put it in as 8. We would be doubling up on that one dash. Is that right? Or did I do 113? No, it is different. As why did 113 107? You have 11 because it's a different statute. Sorry about that. This is what a Secretary of State has the duty. This is just a generic election rule of violation of duty. Leave them both in there. I take it all back and I apologize for confusing you. This is the statute that mandates your DA actually do the investigation. And this is why we want all of us to do this. It isn't just a letter writing campaign because by sending it as a notarized affidavit, they can't just ignore your evidence. Your evidence is her confession of doing it, right? We added in this paragraph just trying to basically play on the fact that we elected our individual DAs. One of the articles out there talking about this is even states, I think, no, it was 9 News after they were on with us the other night. Kyle Clark said 2 Republican district attorneys have said they're waiting for the Democratic Denver district attorney. I mean, he made that very clear, and it is very clear. We elected our Republican district attorneys, assuming that they would represent and fight for the things that we want them to fight for, right? Fight for as a DA, whatever. And so we don't really want to just hand this over to a liberal DA in Denver. So this is sort of I implore you to actually do your duty. Sean talked a little bit about it on Monday, saying they have to. Talking with David, you might speak a little bit about this, but he said they're actually, even though they're in districts, they are a state officer, which is what gives them the jurisdiction to do this. They don't have to be in the Denver district. They have statewide jurisdiction. So we can't argue it the way Sean did, saying you have to do it and then say, but you have statewide jurisdiction and that's why you have to do it. It kind of contradicts itself in my mind. Go ahead, David.
Yeah, so in all transparency, I ran for DA after being asked in El Paso County. And when I registered, I had to register as a state election because El Paso County, it's the 4th judicial district, and it includes El Paso County and Teller County. So it's 2 different counties that district includes. So the DAs are state representatives. Their jurisdiction is statewide, but they have reciprocity with each other. So they all work together, but they have jurisdiction statewide.
Right. So here I am imploring him to, fight for our free elections, and we have the right to petition our grievances. So that's sort of just me saying, please don't pass this up. Then David talks about their jurisdiction, just like he did. Now you're going to fill in your name, address, email. You're going to take this little beauty down to the bank or wherever your local notary is. Banks typically will do it for free. They'll fill in the county that you are currently in when they sign it, your name, and then they will finish off the notary on it. That's the basic how to fill out this document. And I know I confused us by saying to delete that part. I apologize for that. We're changing your DA's name, your judicial district, the DA's address, your name, DA's name, judicial district, county, There's another county. There's 3 counties. County. That's the basic that you have to edit. Decide or not whether you want to leave number 7 in. Your choice. And then I had an email already from someone who has some cyber expertise. This is what you're saying to your DA. If you have something you know that you want them to know, and you have something, an article or an interview that you want to point to, put your little cursor here, add yourself a paragraph. If you want to talk about your cyber expertise that you know that those passwords created, security breach, have at it. This is you talking to your DA, but I'm not going to put it in there for you. That's yours. Like I said, this is your document. So, that's where I would put it if I was going to add something extra. That's all. Yeah. Have I pretty much answered? Is there anything else sitting out there? I would.
Where are you adding? Where were you when you were adding that? What paragraph?
I would add it between 7 and 8.
Oh, a new paragraph. Okay.
Yeah, just if you hit enter, it's going to give you another number, and it should correct your numbers because it's under the it's got the numbering mode on. It didn't that time, but I think I've messed with this document too many times now. The other thing I was going to show you was this. This is what's up there on Telegram, is this letter from Sheriff Darleaf. I'm not sure if you've heard of him before. He's the one that had all of the emails from Dominion of these Serbian employees. That's part of his evidence. And anyway, you'll just see this. It was October 28th. Berry County Sheriff appreciates Texas Attorney General's prompt and thorough response. So basically, they are now working together on this, and that's a good thing. So I love the idea of being able to hand them a little bit. Here, we asked all of our people to do this too. If you have a county clerk or commissioners that you feel are open to such a thing, let me know. I can let you know what I said to mine, and we can try and round up a few more county clerks or commissioners to contact them and have an official put in a request for investigation from them also. But our main goal is, like David said, is to blitz them with these things, because right now they have 3 or 4. I think I saw Annette say she filled one in Arapahoe. Yay. And so it's fairly easy to ignore, right? A couple, but if they get a whole bunch of these, that's very powerful. Pam, you had a question. Go ahead.
Pam Poll, you need to
Yeah,
unmute.
yes. Sorry, it took me a minute. I'm just typing it out now. What's the response to Jena's claim that changing the BIOS passwords during the election fixed the security problem because the DAs will just parrot her talking points?
Well, the answer is we don't have to answer it. We're asking him to do an investigation. And if he does an investigation as the statute tells him he has to, which it does, as we've found, anyone who with security knowledge is going to say that that's what their appropriate corrective actions failed.
And
David,
Linda,
you want to put
let me
anything in
jump
there?
in real quick. Yeah, so like I said, in the military and after, I did a lot of cybersecurity. Any good hacker, if they get in, they know if somebody finds out, they're going to change passwords, they're going to do things to lock them out. Any good hacker puts a back door. And I even said on a chat, I would be shocked if Dominion didn't have a back door to all their machines. So this was people who are friendly and want fair and free elections who found these passwords. I can't imagine how many nefarious actors and foreign actors got a hold of these passwords and said, whoa, look at that. Boom, I'm in. Here's my back door. They can change all the passwords in the world that they want. I still have access.
So you're saying that anyone that had the knowledge to use the password to get in would have created a way to get back in regardless of the password change?
Yeah,
absolutely.
that's, Pam, go ahead and watch the video from the other night. It answers most of that.
Yeah, I did,
okay.
but
And the fact
those
is,
guys were going back and forth so much, it was
I
hard
know.
to
And
follow.
I think the reality is you and I don't have to know the answer to that. We're putting it out there, asking them to investigate and find out.
But I would like to know, because people are gonna ask me, well, I mean, just the average person will say, well, Jenna said they changed the passwords and now we're fine.
Okay, well, there's two answers to that. One, even though they're saying we've changed the passwords is fine, cyber experts that we've heard say that that's not true, right? I mean, Eric down a Mineral is down there saying, no, you can get in there still too. I believe everybody we've asked, Mark Cook, Sean, Clay, Eric's down there. Jerry was saying it too earlier in the chat. Yes, you still can access and you still can do damage remotely with these BIOS passwords. But even if you couldn't, I want to put out there, they've had these since, this has been on their website since June 22nd of 2024. The primary was on June 25th. So we have hundreds of election workers, county clerks, county clerk deputies, just county employees, election judges. There have been hundreds of people walking around these machines from the primary and the general while those passwords that were out that had physical access to the machines. There are thousands of hours worth of video to go through to make sure that nobody accessed those machines. Do you think that they have done that yet? The answer is no. There's no way they possibly could have. Christopher Beale said that on the stand. So they have not done a thorough investigation to just wipe it off. So even if we did just go with their supposition that you had to have physical access, they haven't done a thorough investigation, even on the physical access side. That's my argument for that.
And Linda, also, back from 2020, they said, oh, these machines are not connected to the internet. And my mother tried to argue that with me. And she didn't argue. She said, well, they said they're not connected to the internet. I said, Ma, my thermostat's connected to the internet. And in Arizona, they literally found an thermostat in the room with all the machines that had an IP address pinging to that thermostat coming directly from China. So to say, oh no, they're not connected to the internet, that's just a lie. How do you get results on election night out to the media and around the country instantaneously if they don't have some little guy with a thumb drive? Oh, plug it in, load it up, run over to this computer, now plug it in, load it up, now send it. No, everything's connected, everything's moving at the speed of light.
Well, the irony is that Jena forced Mesa County to buy new machines based on that partial BIOS password. I don't even know what a partial BIOS password is.
It was partially redacted.
Partially what?
It was partially redacted, covered up.
Okay, so she's saying that that Mesa's machines were no longer reliable or trustworthy. So that in this case, if that applies, then the entire state machines have to be replaced.
I agree with you. They're arguing that it had more, although that was clearly in Tina's indictment, and they also argued it in her trial. Anybody that listened can tell you that. They talked about this BIOS password thing, even though she wasn't charged with anything to do with that. It's what started the investigation. And where is it going with that? They're arguing now that it was because she had Conan Hayes in the room, that was the extra security breach. But we could argue, yeah, well, you just sent 30 IT monkeys from the governor's office out with these super secret passwords that you used to They used to say we're super secret and only 4 people got to access them, right? Now they've handed them out to every IT monkey that they know to go quickly change them out across the state within a day. It's all ridiculous. The other
Well,
thing,
and Linda, real quick. So there, one of the things Jenna said in the interview and Beal said on the stand is, oh, well, even if they had the BIOS passwords, they didn't have the other passwords. Well, the other passwords they're talking about is the common passwords that people use to log into their computer. If you have the BIOS password, you have the master key. I don't care what your other password is. The BIOS gets you in. That's it. Game over. It doesn't matter. And that's what they're lying about. Maybe they're dumb and they don't understand, but that's what they're missing.
it is
So.
a total cover up. And the other thing, the other phrase they're using is we have layers of security. One of their layers of security is that password. Okay. But I spoke with a county clerk and they said the problem with that is that they have one username password for all of their judges. So
Yeah, it's nuts.
you wouldn't know who had violated you know what I mean? You can't go back and check the log to know who signed in because everybody uses the same password. So much for your brilliant layers of security. Okay, let's get a couple more hands. Annette, you had your hand up next.
Yeah, I have 2 questions. First of all, I filed on Tuesday morning. How long should I wait before I follow up with the DA? Because I haven't heard back. And what's the best way to do that? Like make an appointment with him, or how long and how?
How did you file? Did you email? Did you mail?
I went in person and handed the person at the glass window a thing, and he stamped it, and there was no proof. So I took a picture, but then because there was no written proof, I sent the exact same form, certified mail.
I think what I would do is email them and say,
Okay.
I submitted this. I want to know what your status is and make your request. What is asking for a weekly or bi-weekly update? David, what do you think?
Yeah, this is moving quickly. I would say at least weekly, ask for an update.
Yep.
Okay.
And,
I will.
And say, if they say, oh, well, Denver's investigating. Say, okay, well, what's Denver saying? Because you should know if you're waiting on Denver, you should be asking Denver, hey, what have you got?
Okay.
Yep.
And then, thank you. And I have a harder question. I have heard some just talk, and maybe you can squash this or not, that because like Gabe Evans' race was so close and there were, a few other really close races, that the Colorado GOP isn't going to push this as hard as they can because they're afraid of a recount for some of our close races. What's the word on that? And it was, it's just like conjecturing and thinking, but
Yeah.
how committed are we to this?
Okay. First of all, the GOP is hosting this call. Let's just
Right.
go there. And second of all, Dave got on the call on Monday and said that the GOP was working on a federal case. So the GOP is not just going to walk away from this one.
Okay. And they're not going to drag their feet?
That's what I have for you. We're doing this
Okay.
together as the GOP, and the GOP is also going to file a federal lawsuit. So
okay, I just wanted
kudos to
clarification
the
on that.
GOP at the moment. Yes, indeed.
Yeah. And I'm not bashing the GOP at
Nope.
all. I'm just saying I want to know.
Yep. That's
Okay.
that's the best answer I have for you.
Okay.
I think Mark was next.
Yeah, my question is, where is the affidavit? Because I looked up the one that I think Anna gave us, and it's different than the one that you're showing. So is there a new one or something and I'm missing it, or I'm sorry.
Did you get today's email from Ron? There was a link
I
to
did
it.
get Ron's email, and that's what I went to. So I'll look again, but what you're saying is it should be in the one that Ron sent us.
That's my understanding.
It's also
Okay.
it's also up on the website as well. There's
Okay.
a tab that you can just go straight to the GOP website and follow it to the affidavit form.
That's true.
Okay.
It says sample affidavit right there, big letters. And
Right.
so there's a couple documents up there. There's also a FISA report. You guys could submit that with it because the reason that's there is it goes with Sean Smith's Twitter He has his Sean Smith flair in his language on his Twitter posts. I'll put it that way. But basically, he's pointing out that they did not take appropriate action to secure our machines afterwards. That's the point of his Twitter feed, and then that CISA report that is also posted up there.
And Linda, I have one other question, and that is, does it matter? I'm in Douglas County. Does it matter about Clare Ballot versus Dominion?
No, it does
The
not.
affidavit?
No, it does not.
Okay. No, it does not. That's
Yeah,
all
go
I
ahead,
need to know.
file away. And if you know your sheriff out there, you have a sheriff that got called out by President Trump.
I
We could be
know.
talking to the sheriff too, saying, please investigate this.
I know him very well, so
Yep.
I will
Well,
talk with him.
There you go.
I will talk. There you go.
Tom?
Yes, my question was along what the other person ended up asking. We end up receiving early on 2 different affidavits. One is the one similar to what you end up talking about today, and then there's another one that is an affidavit of a citizen. And what we end up working with is the one that's submitted earlier and end up filling it in. And it is different. It doesn't even have number 7, but it has a bunch of other paragraphs. Does it make a difference which one we file?
Okay, so I'm not sure which one you got. It might have been mine. My affidavit is 12 pages long and it's full of stuff that I've been learning from working on researching with the libertarian case. But it's my knowledge, and so not necessarily yours. That's why I said you can add to this with something that you know that I don't know, that we didn't present to you in this. Or you can take away something here that you disagree with. This is yours, right? This is your statement to your DA, and so it has to be yours. I don't exactly know which one you have. Have you already filed it? I'm sure what you, go ahead.
So Linda, we can use
No,
just
we
this.
have not filed it.
Can we
All right,
use,
well, okay, let me finish with Tom. I would just, you need to be comfortable. If it's this one that you go and re-download off of the website, this is David and I, well, David, in his wisdom said, let's give them this. This is everybody who watches the Channel 9 news video can send this. You can, if you watch Clay's stuff, you can honestly say, hey, this expert told me there was more to it than just the BIOS passwords. That's all this one is saying, right? Those are my 2 pieces of knowledge that I know about. Now you go deal with it. That's what we're telling.
Yes, Linda, I'm going to jump off really quick to move over to the Patriot call, but somebody did ask between you and Dave, what is our timeline? I think that's really important. Probably the sooner the better.
The sooner the better. That's exactly right. We're trying to pressure. There is not like a deadline, right? We're wanting to get this moving. We already have, I'm hearing 4, maybe 4. Are we up to count? Is the count up to 4 that have been filed? We want to just keep coming, pounding them. I'm going to get mine filed tomorrow. And that's, I'm up in Weld County. So I know now we've got Park County, we've got Arapahoe County, we've got El Paso County. Now I'm going to hit Weld County. Now, but we want them, we want many of these, and we want to hit every county, be great, every judicial district for sure. But don't just say, oh, someone already did it in Weld County and walk away. We want as many as possible. But this is where we join our voices and unite and say no more.
Right.
Hey, Linda, can I jump in really quick?
Please.
So hi, good evening, everybody. Hope Shuppelman, your vice chair for the Colorado Republican Party. I have recently in the chat posted an anecdote link. As it has been noted that the state party is looking, not looking, but we will be filing a federal lawsuit against Jena Griswold. I am going to ask, please, if everybody would at least click on that link, donate what you can. We need funds for this. So it isn't a big ask. I see we have 136 people on this call. Please click on the link. I'm going to be sending out emails here shortly tomorrow to everybody as well. Please click on the link and donate what you can. Thank you so much.
Okay, is there any, who else? Mark and Tom, Diane.
Good. So we just need the affidavit that you've just been going over, right? You mentioned there's others on the website. Why do we need those? Why are you
Yeah.
mentioning more than one?
I'm not sure if they're still on the website. I had originally
All
said,
right, so we just need this one.
there you go. You just
you.
need this one. That's it. I had originally thought we'll give you 3 samples. You can pick which one you like or mix and match. And then just as we're talking about, that was going to be too confusing. And so David corralled me back in and said, let's just put this out. So this is, I think it's your base. Like I said, if you have more information you want to add to it, add to it. That's completely up to you. Everybody has their own comfort zone, but I don't think that there's anybody on this call that can't honestly say, I watched that news thing. I watched Clay Parikh. I now have personal knowledge that the Secretary of State did this. So now I want you to go investigate this crime that I believe is a crime.
And I came in a little late. Where is that? Where's the current one posted? Is that the one that's in Ron's emails?
Yeah.
Because there was several on a page there.
And I just went, Linda, I just went to Ron's, to that page, and it's still not the exact one that you had up. So I'm just asking if you or Anna or someone could just check it out after the Zoom and make sure we'll go from there. So.
Well, Anna,
because we were talking about item 7, and I looked at item 7, and it's not exactly the same thing you were looking at. So as I said, you don't have to look at it right now, just whenever. So,
hey, Linda, this is Dave. Let me just say, again, this has to be personalized. So whatever you look at, if you agree with it and you understand it, then you can file that. There's not a cut and paste. I'll just sign this and have it noted. You gotta make sure it's your own.
I understand that, Dave. I do understand that.
Yeah. So regardless of what you see out there, whether email, on the website, whatever, you gotta go through it and do a little bit of research and say, okay, yeah, I agree. I believe a crime was committed. I want this investigated. If you go from that perspective, then you don't have to get in the weeds of, or should we use this one? Should we use that one? You can even pull one off the internet, a sample affidavit, and then put the evidence in there that you believe needs to be investigated.
Question. I heard somebody say earlier that Sean Smith put up, was it on Twitter, an explanation of why the fix that the Secretary of State did wasn't adequate? Can somebody tell me again where that is?
Well, if you go to this website, so this is the link from the MailChimp. Okay, this is where it's going to take you on the GOP's website. I figured I would walk through it together.
Got it.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
and
here's the sample.
Click on that, and you'll see the.
All right, I'll go back there. Let me answer her question. Here's your judicial districts, right? So I'm in the 19th. That's Weld. Diane, you'd be 2nd, right? 4th is Colorado Springs. I suppose 23rd must be out here somewhere. I know that Elbert County did the election for 23rd, but we don't have to worry about that. Okay, here's all your other things. So here's a list of the district attorneys. Doesn't give contact information, but it is a good list. This is the instructions. So here's find your DA, read through the affidavit, personalize it. Here's the little cover letter you can send. Find your notary, mail it. That's your basic instructions. What is that movie? Anyway, this is the original whistleblower affidavit that the GOP shared on the 29th, saying that there's passwords up there. This is a cybersecurity document you could attach with it. I believe, if this is one I'm thinking of, page 6, there it is. Sean Smith is the one that posted this part on his website and gave us the link to this, this document. And this would be an appropriate corrective response, apparently, that they didn't do. And that was the point of showing this, was they haven't done an appropriate corrective response. That was sort of the point of his thing. And here it is here. I basically downloaded the thread. So he sort of walks through what happened. He talks about the response, and then, oh, look what they did. It was a horrible response. I mean, it's Sean. It's sarcastic. That's Sean. That's why we love him. But you can read through that. And it tells you what we did and what they should have done, and they don't match. And then the last thing on here, this is the original email, right? Yep, that's the original email that alerted us all to it. That's in the affidavit, right? On this day, I read this email from the GOP. It said this. I looked at the affidavit that we just looked at. Guess what? Now you have that knowledge. Then you went and you watched that Kyle Clark video, and Griswold said, yep, sure enough, I posted them all up there. Oops, big mistake. Now you have that knowledge. Then you watch the Clay Parik's talking about how it violated other states. Now you have that knowledge. Now you go to your county, your district attorney, and say, hey, I just gained these pieces of knowledge, and I think there's a crime involved, and I want you to investigate.
Linda, this is
Yes,
Pam
please.
Holloway, and I have a question and a suggestion. You're very fortunate to have almost 130 people on this call. All of us can reach out and touch another 10 people. In order to make it easy for us to do that and really get this rolling the way that Dave's talking about, having done this before for large actions in the military and stuff like that, I would encourage taking a marketing campaign approach to this, literally getting a very simple text message that we can share out on the front page of the GOP, literally have a step 1, step 2, step 3, so that we can really make this as simple and dummy proof as possible. Dave, absolutely agree. We need to personalize it. And certainly we can give a couple examples down in the details on that. But the key is we're going to lose people unless this is like super easy, plug and play, fillable form type of situation, like what we've used in the past for when we've been doing petitions and things like that. So whatever we can do to make this flow a little easier. And I appreciate all the hard work you've put into this, because you guys have done awesome work. But that last step will make all the difference as to, you know, those of us who are out here in the field being able to massively blast this out there without having to spend 30 minutes trying to explain it to people. So whatever you could do there, we so would appreciate. Thank you.
Okay. I see the confusion here. Do you see someone's actually in the document changing it right now? That's why it doesn't look like what I originally put up there. It got put up there as a Google document, and it's being edited by person after person after person. It needs to be, we need to download. We'll repost you just the Word version again, and you can download it and edit it on your computer, and then it'll look just like mine. And that is the confusion, is that someone's already, do you see how many people up there editing it right now?
Yeah,
And
that's
they're-
insane.
And
You
they're
can't
gonna
put
keep
it in a
editing.
Word. You can't put it in a
Yeah.
Word doc because they can edit it.
Put it
You've
in a
got to lock it in.
PDF or something.
Yeah, locked PDF, and then they can copy it
Yeah.
onto their
Well-
computer and go from there.
It doesn't have to be a PDF. It can be a Word doc. It just can't be a Google doc, because you got 6 people trying to edit all at once, so they're going to keep
What
undoing
it
and
really
doing.
Right,
needs
but
to
if you
be is a Word document that is downloadable, and so that people just go ahead and download the Word document for themselves and make the changes from there, and then you won't have these problems with the document on the website actually changing.
Okay, that was the intention. So
Well,
now-
yeah, make sure you just send me and help what we need to put up there.
Okay, so let
Well,
me ask you
you
this.
shouldn't have people doing it now, but you do. I mean, that should be obvious that you don't do that. So I
Well-
wouldn't want, you should make that, lock it in to where they can't alter it whatsoever. And then
Who-
if they,
yeah.
download a PDF, they can, then change the PDF. But
Well, I'm pretty sure this was for demonstration purposes only and for purposes of this briefing, which, by the way, has gone a little long. For the people explaining, Linda, David, Wilson, when do we want to do another one of these? Do we want to have another follow-up Zoom that people can kind of check their work against conversation. You know, try to get people to print it, get it ready to go, get it ready to be notarized, and then check back in for a, you know, kind of a comfort visit. Over.
Well, I let me just review really quick. If we get you this just as Word document that you put onto your computer and you have to change names, addresses, and those few places that I went over, and you have this PDF that gives you the find your DA, do it, mail it, is that clear enough?
Yes, it should be.
Simple enough?
Yes,
I feel like I feel like we're
and
we're
keep a
intelligent
Word
people
doc
here.
and keep a Word doc too. No PDF. I can't change a PDF.
Right. So to me, that was the call to action, was to send these two very simple documents, and I'm pretty sure we can handle it. And I am willing to answer questions. You have my email now if people get stuck, but I don't particularly think we need to have another tutorial on it. Unless if I'm wrong, I could be wrong. I've been staring at this thing for days, so it just, if I'm not clear, then please tell me.
You know, what you can do on there is lock the document, make it view only, and they can then put it on their computer. It's a simple click on the Google Doc, and they won't be able to edit. They can only view, and they can download it from there. It'll give them that option.
Right. Right. So unfortunately now the link is, I can work with Anna or Hope on the background on that, and we'll do exactly that, so that link will take you to a locked document. You can download it from there onto your computer as a Word document, and then you can go.
You don't even have to do that. You can just, there is one little setting in Google Docs. You can make it view only.
Correct.
And then once you do that, they will be able to view it. They don't have to download it. They can also download it as a Google Doc or a Word doc.
To edit it though, they'll have to download it.
Well, and then they'll also have to know how to turn off the view only, which some people aren't going to know how to do. The problem is as you saw, people were.
I think that, let me work with Anna and Hope, and we'll figure this out without everybody listening to us figure it out. But we're going to figure this out, and we'll get it done really soon, as soon as we have the call. I think that's probably the best scenario. Do we have any other questions that are sitting out there in chat, or something that I missed? I've put my email in there. You're welcome to email me. I'm more than happy to answer questions on the side too. So,
this is Dave. I don't know if Anna's still on, but if we can just get some sort of tracker to show how many affidavits going out into what counties, and then maybe provide updates to what the counties are providing back as far as the investigations. That way we, you know,
I think that would be great. Now, the question is, the only way I can think to do that is in a mass email, and to have one of us track it and then put it in a spreadsheet. But I don't, I'm hoping you all inform me that I filed on such and such a date in this county. And then, yes, we can track it. And then, yes, Anna can send out updates from that. Because I don't think all of us are like on the same signal group or anything to do it that way. I think email is going to be the only way we'll be able to do that. And she's not piping in, so I'll talk with her about that on the background also. Expect another email from Anna at some point. Email me yours when you have them done. Email me with questions. And Anna's just piping in. So Anna would like you to email them to both me and to her. I wish there was an easy way to do that, but that's the best I can come up with. Any other questions just sitting there?
Then just a quick question. I'm sure this has been talked about before. Is there a reason that the AG has not done anything?
Sure, he's bought out by Soros. Phil Weiser, has he really done anything? Phil Weiser, Jena Griswold, and Jared Polis they're all the same team, and that's why. That will be our next step though, right? If our DAs refuse to do anything, then we have to go to the AG. And if they refuse to do anything, then guess what? We actually have grounds in for a class action suit or something. But this is all, once again, to just keep that pressure on them. It gives us an avenue to keep following up, take the next step, take the next step. But it also, we've seen Griswold, when she makes mistakes, when she feels pressured. So we keep the pressure on. Tom has another question, I believe.
Thanks.
Yes, the question I have is, I do not have, Linda, your address. I do have Anna's. So once the chat ends, I don't know how you access your address.
Okay, well, I've typed it in a couple times, but I'll tell you what it is. It's Linda laughs, multiple laughs, ha 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 ha, because I like to laugh a lot. Linda laughs at protonmail.com. I thought that was going to be a really easy email, and trust me, it's not.
Thank you.
Yep. All right. Anyone want to close us up? I'm happy to pray us out or whatever, unless there's more questions. I'm done presenting what I have to present. Mark, were you raising your hand or are you?
Yes.
Okay.
The question I have, being a Colorado citizen, do I have the right to file the affidavit in multiple jurisdictions, as it is a Colorado law that is going to be challenged?
I believe the answer to that is you need to file it in your jurisdiction, in your district. You could also simultaneously file it with the the Attorney General of the state.
Oh, well, that's a dead end. We know that.
Well, that's what you got. It's not
Okay.
gonna, you need to just do it in your district with your district attorney.
Very much.
Yep. All right. I'm gonna say a quick prayer for us as we close out. All right. God Almighty, I just thank you for these wonderful people who have taken another hour out of their life, who are interested in fighting for fair and free elections and willing to take that step and put out the effort to make that happen. I pray that God, you would honor our efforts, and make them give us a great return. We long for fair and free elections. We thank you for President Trump, and we just pray for his safety. We pray for our nation in these next couple of months until inaugurations and moving forward as this nation rises up again to its full greatness. Amen. Thank you. Thank you guys for being on here. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Linda.
everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for your hard work.
And thank you, Hope and Anna, for the posting this and doing all the documents on the website. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks, Linda.
Let's go to the Patriot call after this. There's Dr. Frank is on tonight. Should be a really good call.
Thank you, Linda.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Linda.
Yeah, Linda.
Hey, Linda. Obvious. I keep thinking in the back of my head, I didn't hear anyone mention about it, but obviously there's the where Jena violated the law in having the passwords up. But has anyone addressed the fact that she willfully neglected to inform the clerks? Because I know in Wiley's court case, I think the judge stated that it wasn't willful that she put up the passwords, but the fact is that there was willfulness of withholding the information.
You're right. And actually, I have leaked audio from county clerks and the Secretary of State call, and Anna posted excerpts of that up on the Colorado Republican YouTube channel. And the first one is the Adams County clerk, and he was furious that they weren't told. And Christopher Beal says, well, out of all transparency, we weren't going to tell you for fear of a media frenzy or something.
So bingo, right there.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So they weren't going to tell them, which means they weren't going to do anything. This whole BIOS password change is smoke and mirrors, and they know it. They weren't going to do it because they say that they spoke with CISA and Dominion right away. Okay, first of all, there's a bunch of things. On the 24th, all they'll say is we were notified on the 24th that these passwords were up there and we removed it right away. Who notified you? Well, of course it's Dominion. Dominion's also who notified them of the same thing in Mesa, okay? Sean and Clay were saying on the call the other night, they have pretty good evidence that it is Dominion that creates the passwords. Whatever, Dominion basically runs our elections along with CISA. So there's that. So we don't know how they discovered it, and they won't tell anybody. We don't know who the 34 states are that they claim were the active passwords, and they won't tell anybody. Even during the court hearing, he said he wouldn't, I'm reluctant to disclose that for reasons other ones said. So now that they've actually changed the passwords, originally it was security reasons, right? They're afraid that we would go out there and swamp these IT guys as they were trying to change the passwords or something. But they've changed them all and they still won't tell us which 34 counties. So they're withholding that information. So obviously the counties know who got their passwords changed. I'm the one that downloaded that spreadsheet in June. So I have the earliest known version of it. I tried to make sense of it and I can't tell which ones are active and which ones aren't, right? There are over 600 passwords on that thing because I'm not a cyber person. I didn't discover it when I saw the GOP's email. I went, oh, I wonder if my version does. And I'm like, sure enough, here it is, June 22nd, right? So I, of course, handed that out like candy because I didn't want to be the only one holding it. And so basically, where was I going with that? Sorry, I distracted myself because I'm so funny. Yes, they chose not to tell anybody, which means they were choosing not to take any action because CISA and Dominion told them that it's not really a breach. Don't worry about it. You're good. No problem. Nothing to see here. You're good. Hide it.
But is that something that we want to write in affidavit saying that they knew and they willfully neglected to hide it from the clerks?
Here, I will show you. Yes, I have it in my affidavit because and Anna did put that up there. So, hang on, let me find mine.
And another thing I was thinking of is if there's any way that we can get people who have notary capability to meet at their GOP county offices. Like in El Paso, we have
Isn't Vinny a notary down there?
Yeah, we have, oh gosh, I just did a brain fart. Sheila is a notary. It's like if we can say, hey, Sheila's going to be in the office and she can notarize, and we can probably facilitate more people in doing this at everybody's GOP office.
Right. So see, this is mine, and it just goes on and on and on.
How many pages? Oh my goodness, you got 13 pages. Okay.
Yes. Well, I've been investigating this because I was helping. Oh, this is the other thing. They kind of mentioned it on the call the other. Did you see this one from Kyle Clark? So they're telling us that it's 34 counties, and then Kyle Clark puts this up there and says, hey, on a night when vast majority of American counties swing towards Trump for the 22 returns, a majority, 34 of 64 counties in Colorado swung the other direction.
Yeah.
It's like that there are no coincidences. There just aren't. I'm like, come on here. This is suggesting to us that there was a breach, right? There are no coincidences. So I put that in mind, right? I and I'm going to go ahead and try it, sending as much stuff as I can, right? Because why
Make
wouldn't
it easier on the DAs.
Well, it's like, most people are going to just, like we said, just put it out there as, I saw the video and here we go. And because of the conversation we just had, that was confusing to some people. So it's too big of an operation to try and explain all of the details, right? But I have spent the last 2 weeks just so in depth on this because I was doing research for the Libertarian Party. So this is where I've been, right? I've been right here staring at this stuff for days now. And I had this spreadsheet myself. So I'm a fact witness now also myself.
Gotcha.
So there's also hidden on there, apparently Pueblo a couple years ago had, and I found the news article, they had one of their tablets, the USB port was tampered with. And so it got taken out of service. And then there's another line item on there that said that they had like purchased one without the proper acquisition records and stuff. And I was like, how is this happening? My point in putting it in there was to say, okay, so if this dude's in there tampering with election equipment, then you can't get away with saying that they had no physical access because you haven't watched those videos. And here's proof that people have physical access to the machines, right?
Well, and also I'm going to jump in here. And as far as one thing that irked me in the case, in the Libertarians case, is when they were saying, when Jena or Beal was saying that all the Wi-Fi Bluetooth capability was turned off, I wanted someone to scream out, you can write with a single line of code, because I was in the counting room. I had the IT person show me. I asked the question, how do you know this thing is not radiating? How do you know that you don't have the Bluetooth or the Wi-Fi capability? He proudly goes over and points to the icon that's grayed out. And I looked at him like, I go, you realize as an IT person, I could write one line of code to make that color gray, and you have no clue.
Okay, to make that worse, okay, that is within the Dominion software that is grayed out. We can't access it. Look, see, it's grayed out. And that's from the Dominion access, that the Dominion software they're running. That doesn't even tell, okay, we already know that if you have the BIOS level, you can even make it look like it's off when it's on.
Yes.
Even
Yeah,
at the
you
BIOS
can make
level.
it fuchsia if you wanted to.
Exactly. So they're all, this tells you how not cyber the clerks are, and they're responsible for our cybersecurity. Well, kind of, I mean, our it's all federalized under CISA now, and we have issues with that too. But yes, it is all smoke and mirrors. The fact that they here's the other thing that's on those audio clips that made a big deal to me, okay? And we weren't able to get it into the courtroom clearly enough, right? They wouldn't allow Clay in there as an expert because of the Colorado election systems, right?
Yeah.
Okay. First of all, it didn't get said because everything happened too darn fast. The attorneys didn't have time to prep with the witnesses. You heard it. They had an hour to try and present this case. They had 2 days to prepare the case. That is such an none of us slept. Let me just put it this way, to get the documents prepared and the exhibit list prepared and it was insane. Okay. So, was it perfect? No. Were we trying to get a hand count before that election day? Yes. Did we get it? No. Okay. We didn't. And people will say, well, now it caused bad case law. All right. There's arguments to be made everywhere. But we didn't even get Clay to say the Dominion is the same across the nation, right? 5.13 is the same in every place, in every state. So we couldn't even get that out before she declared he wasn't an expert. But let's back off of the Dominion part. The audio clips have Beal numerous times because the clerks are saying, I don't want just anybody touching my machines in the middle of a presidential election, because they had already started scanning those ballots, by the way. Everyone's talking about election day being 5 days away. We don't have election day in Colorado. We have election season. They are regulated by statute to start scanning 4 days in advance of November 5th. This was October 29th when it came out. I walked into Mesa County Clerk and Recorder and recorded it. And I have that in mind too, and said, hey, have you started scanning your ballots? Oh yeah. I said, has the Secretary of State changed your passwords? Oh, let me get the county clerk for you. And then they would never come talk to me. So they had already started scanning their ballots. The larger counties start scanning their ballots way in advance of election day, which, by the way, is a whole nother issue. But the point is they change these passwords in the middle, and he's telling these clerks to calm them down, that they're cybersecurity technicians. What is that? Like, what certifications do they have to create them to be a cybersecurity technician, right? He's totally gaslighting them to make them feel comfortable with these strangers from the governor's office coming to work on their high security equipment, right? But Beal is like, these are all off the shelf equipment. It's just a computer. You don't have to be, it's just a computer. It's not election equipment. It's just a computer. Just point them in the right direction, and we've taught them what they need to know. Those are literally what he told them. So Clay Parik's not an expert in court, right? But we can just point any IT monkey out there and proclaim them a cyber expert.
Right. The kettle is black.
It is just so disgusting to me. So these are all huge issues that I have with it. And I don't know how to make that happen other than let's do these stupid affidavits and try and make it happen. Now, like I said, Anna posted that video. So go listen to it. Write a thing there. Hey, I heard leaked audio that, he's saying that just anybody can go touch these things. What happened to these being a specialized thing? In Tina's case, I don't know how much of that you listened to. I listened to every minute of it. They interviewed Jesse Romero on the stand, and Romero said that only 4 people in the Secretaries of State's office are allowed to have those passwords. It's a very highly kept secret, right? These are so secure.
So we should know who did it.
And right, well, they do know who did it. Well, they know who did it. And from the articles I've read, they say 2 things. He's no longer with the Secretary of State. And one article said, but he's still employed by the state. So, like, he moved positions a few months ago. But, it was just a mistake. Whatever. I mean, that's not sufficient for me. I mean, he's an underpaid civil servant. How do I know China? He didn't have, okay, I'm an underpaid civil servant. I don't know, my mother needs a new kidney. I need 200 grand.
If it was
right?
Tina Peters, she would have been fired and never brought into work again.
Exactly. Equal Justice would have had Griswold removed from office and all of the machines in Colorado decertified, taken out of service for sure. Sean says to do the type of scan for the system that they would need to do would take 3 to 4 hours with a team of people per machine. They say that they scan the logs. My understanding is there are thousands of BIOS settings. So which settings did they look at? Christopher Beal says on these calls that Dominion told them which ones to check for. A county clerk I talked to said they just checked to see if Wi-Fi was turned on. But you wouldn't have known whether it was turned on and off over the last 4 months because it doesn't log that. It just, right now, it's turned back off, right? So you could have come in, turned it on, monkeyed with the system, turned it back off, and we would never know because they're not doing an investigation.
Right.
So I think that they're just trying to repeat that propaganda, that phrase over and over again, right? That this wasn't a security threat, and we have layers of security, and we've changed the BIOS password, so we've dealt with it. Everything's fine and hunky-dory. Oh, and now I've hired a private attorney. But like David said, the first one she hired was a Dominion attorney, total liberals. And then someone must have said, hey, ethically, you really can't do this. So she hired a different person who's like an employment attorney and doesn't really affect it. I mean, it's not, I shouldn't say it doesn't affect it. It's not sufficient for me, doesn't satisfy me that this is going to get investigated. Let's think about who banged down Tina's door. It was local police, the DA, and the FBI. Where's the FBI? That's the other thing we need to think about. How do we get this to the FBI?
Is this a case that we can kind of hold until we get some friendlies at the federal level?
There's that conversation that's happening, right? I like the idea of us as citizens doing what we're doing here to keep the pressure on as a bridge, right? We're bridging that. We're the people are rising up and saying, this is not acceptable to us.
Yep.
Right. And then we're going to hand this off to the investigation down with Attorney General Paxton, who's investigating Dominion specifically. But this is part of that. And then from what I can gather, once Trump's got the DOJ back under his belt, then they can turn their evidence over and get that included in the DOJ with the new DOJ investigating. So that's how we can be a part of it. I think it's pretty darn cool that we have that opportunity, because that wasn't part of the plan originally. That just sprung up on me this afternoon. So.
Yep. All right. Well, you answered my questions. I'm going to hop off. Thanks for being on here and running this through. Appreciate you.
Oh, I appreciate you too, Linda. It's good to hear you. And I see there's still people on here just listening to me blabber away. Are there any other questions I can answer now that we're still on here? I think we're good. Thanks, Anna. I'll stop sharing. You can hang up now.
Thank you. Have a good night, everyone.
Thanks.